New Yorkers, we got it. We got it. I cannot thank the men and women of the New York City Police Department enough, as well as our federal agents, our state police, our first responders, from the 9/11 operators to the various men and women from our medical professions. We got him. It said to New Yorkers, we're going to protect the people of this city and apprehend those who believe they can bring terror to everyday New Yorkers. And I want to thank everyday New Yorkers who called in tips, who responded, who helped those passengers who were injured. 33 shots, but less than 30 hours later, we're able to say, we got it. Thank you, Commissioner, for your leadership and job well done.
And now, Police Commissioner of the City of New York, Keyshawn Sewell.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here. I am truly fortunate to stand here among these extraordinary investigators and federal partners to make this announcement. Moments ago, Frank Robert James was stopped on the street and arrested by members of the New York City Police Department. Officers, in response to a Crime Stoppers tip, stopped Mr. James at 1:42 p.m. at the corner of St. Mark's Place and First Avenue in Manhattan. He was taken into custody without incident and has been transported to an NYPD facility. He will be charged with committing yesterday's appalling crime in Brooklyn. I want to commend all of the investigators and analysts who took part in this all-hands-on-deck investigation. Literally, hundreds of NYPD detectives worked doggedly during the last 30 hours to bring this together. They did so in tandem with a vast number of our law enforcement partners, including those from the FBI NYPD Joint Terrorism Task Force, the ATF NYPD Crime Gun Intelligence Center, and the Regional Task Force led by the United States Marshal Service. We hope this arrest brings some solace to the victims and the people of the city of New York. We used every resource at our disposal to gather and process significant evidence that directly links Mr. James to the shooting. We were able to shrink his world quickly. There was nowhere left for him to run.
Police are hunting for the gunman who opened fire on a subway train in Brooklyn. Investigators had initially been searching for Frank James as a person of interest. Police now consider him a suspect.
It all stems from a mass shooting that began with a gunman setting off smoke grenades in a crowded subway car yesterday before unleashing a hail of bullets, 33 of them from a 9mm handgun. 10 people were shot, amazingly, none fatally. 7 of the victims remain in the hospital.
The shooter fled in all that chaos, leaving behind a bag filled with several items, including a gun, bullets, smoke grenades, and the key to a U-Haul van. That key is the clue tying James to the shooting, and we have team coverage on this. Derek Waller has the latest on the victims. Kristen Thorne has more on the hesitant passengers returning during the morning commute.
We begin with Mike Mars and the latest on the investigation. Mike.
David and Charlene, the subway station is back open today, and investigators have spent all night trying to pore over these clues that they are getting. We know the MTA cameras in this station were not working at the time of the shooting. However, investigators tell us they were working at the point that they believe the shooter entered the subway system. So they've been looking at that. They've also been looking at those new social media posts that were unearthed overnight. We also know that the alleged shooter, the now suspect, has addresses in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. But the biggest question right now at this noon hour is, where is he? This is the face of the suspected Brooklyn subway shooter, a 62-year-old man named Frank Robert James.
We know one of his motives was to create terror in our system. We would know once he's apprehended, and we continue to do investigation to determine how this is going to be classified. But there was a clear desire to create terror.
This morning, police officially labeled James a suspect after pouring through evidence, including hours of social media videos he posted online.
You're back again. You're back again. What you proud for doing? And yes, I am driving.
Videos filled with rambling rants about Mayor Adams' crackdown on people living in the subway and hate-filled racial and sexist insults. Newscopter 7 over this U-Haul police believe he rented in Philadelphia. Police found it parked in Gravesend, where they say he boarded an outbound in train in Brooklyn Tuesday morning. As the rush hour train approached 36th Street in Sunset Park, eyewitnesses say the attacker donned a gas mask, set off 2 smoke canisters, and when the car filled with that choking smoke, as trapped passengers struggled to see, police say he opened fire, spraying the car with more than 30 bullets. The gunman escaped in the fog of panic.
He tried shooting me while I jumped over. So he tried to shoot me twice, and he missed both times on my leg. Both times. I got lucky.
Police recovered this bag along with an arsenal.
As detectives processed the crime scene, they recovered a 9mm semi-automatic handgun, extended magazines, and a hatchet. Also found is a liquid we believe to be gasoline and a bag containing consumer-grade fireworks and a hobby fuse.
We're also learning more about that 9mm handgun found here at the scene, believed to be used in the shooting. Federal authorities overnight saying that handgun was purchased back in 2011 at a pawn shop in Columbus, Ohio. Also today, police still telling the public, if you have any images, any videos or pictures of what unfolded here yesterday morning, you are urged to share it with the investigators.
Wildfires have reached historic levels. As fires keep raging, the need to replant trees keeps growing. So Subaru is growing our commitment to protect the environment. In partnership with the National Forest Foundation, Subaru and our retailers are proud to help replant 1 million trees to help restore our forests. Subaru, more than a car company.
Now to the victims of the terror in the subway. Many of the victims were under 18 years old. The shooter's gun jammed, likely preventing worse carnage. Eyewitness News reporter Derek Waller is continuing our coverage for the very latest. Derek?
Shirley, right now 7 people remain hospitalized, including 5 here at NYU Langone, Brooklyn. This afternoon, we're hearing from one of the men who was shot, as well as witnesses who rushed to save their fellow New Yorkers.
Scary situation, almost like a horror movie of sorts.
Kenneth Foote told GMA he was in the next car watching it fill with smoke. Then the train stopped in the tunnel and things got worse.
That's when the gunshots happened. It was 3 or 4 quick pops right back. And everyone on my train immediately knew what it was.
Later, the platform and an approaching R train turned into makeshift triage. Claire Tunkel sacrificed her jacket to stop a man's leg from bleeding out.
I don't know. At that moment, I just felt like if there was something that I could do to help, that was what it was.
21 of the 29 people injured were taken to NYU Langone, Brooklyn, including most of the 10 gunshot victims. But Maimonides Hospital took in some of the youngest patients, including a 16-year-old boy who was shot in the leg and hand.
It was a pretty devastating injury to the thumb, and it destroyed a lot of the bone, the joint, the tendons, the nerves, but are able to salvage the thumb, and it's alive.
Governor Kathy Hochul spoke to his mother.
His mother does not speak English. She is Chinese. She is there alone, and it was so sad to hear her, through a translator, talk about her anxiety. All she has is her son.
We're also hearing from one of the shooting victims directly. Harari Benkata speaking from his hospital bed.
This pregnant woman was in front of me. I was trying to help her. I didn't know there were shots at first. I just thought it was a black smoke bomb. She said, "I'm pregnant with a baby." I hugged her, and then the bum rush continued. I got pushed, and that's when I got shot on the back of my knee.
And thankfully, none of the injuries are said to be life-threatening, but no doubt this was life-changing.